Hello everyone, this is Nick from When Prog and Power Unite, and I'm talking with Peter Wildoer, who will correct me on that name shortly. He is the drummer for Swedish metal act Darkane, and one of the 7 drummers who auditioned to fill a spot left vacant in Dream Theater by departed drummer Mike Portnoy. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you very much, and here it is, Peter Wildoer, calling from Sweden, so that's the pronunciation.
And now you know, and the rest of us Americans can struggle with that for the next few weeks.
Yeah, that's the Swedish chef is calling, so.
Yeah. Well, we obviously want to talk about the Dream Theater audition project. That's what people are very excited about right now. First, I'd like to step back and have you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you started in drumming, and what your early influences are, and what bands you've been in.
Yeah, I mean, I started quite early, around, the age of 8 or 6 or 8, I started playing, and, I grew up with listening to Kiss, Motley Crue, and Accept, and all those classic hard rock bands, and later on, in my late teens, I got into a bit more extreme music, like, thrash bands and some death metal bands later on and stuff, so, and, I just grew up listening to quite extreme music, and it just felt natural to me, and in 91, I heard the album Human with the group Death, of Chuck Schuldiner, and I was just blown away by Sean Raynor's drumming on that record in 91, and that was like a huge turning point for me, just hearing that kind of level of musicianship, in that kind of music was like all new, and that just turned my head around, and just made me realize, that you can be really, creative and musical also in that kind of extreme music,
Mm-hmm. You work now, most people know you, Dream Theater fans at least, from your work on James LaBrie's Static Impulse. How was doing that?
That was just awesome, and I got in contact, that was, it's through some mutual friends of ours, and one day, like a bit more than a year ago, this guy, Matt Gilry, calls me up, and he said, yeah, I'm a keyboard player, and I'm working on new songs together with James LaBrie, and for his solo record, and we wonder if you would like, to play drums on that record, and I was like, well, yeah, okay, I'll do it, it's like no hard choice at all, to do that, so it was just, an amazing honor, to be able to do it, and really, I felt it was like a great opportunity, to reach some kind of different audience too for me, because I've been very much closely connected, with Darkane, with the more extreme music, and I've been playing with Pestilence and Old Man's Child, all these bands, but I've been playing with, more melodic rock bands too, but never really got out, so that was a great opportunity for me, of course.
Yeah, I mean, one of the bands I found out you were in, I had overlooked it back when I originally got the CD, but in Dream Theater's general style, there was a band called Time Requiem.
Exactly,
that you had played on about a decade ago. That reminded me a lot of what you would have been doing in DT.
Definitely. I mean, that band was very much inspired by, Dream Theater, and Yngwie Malmsteen and Symphony X. I would say those were probably the guy that wrote the music. He was very much into those 3 bands, and then some stuff he almost copied, whatever, but that was really, and I like playing that music, because sometimes playing really extreme music, it's always on the edge what your physical abilities are, it's not always about thinking about, the groove or, playing some cool stuff, or, you just have to nail whatever you do, and try to play as precisely as you can in those speeds, in that kind of music. So I really enjoy playing that kind of music, more progressive kind of, metal or hard rock, heavy metal music.
Yes, for a drummer especially, I have to imagine a lot of the stuff you do is just a big endurance test.
Yeah, it's an endurance test, and I'm not the guy either that using triggers and stuff like that. There are some guys out there today that has an amazing speed, but most of them today, they're like, they don't sweat or at all, they're just, using whatever, fingers and stuff. You have to do that to be able to play that fast, but I guess I'm just more old school, playing with the whole arm, with my legs and stuff, so it could be a struggle, sometimes when you're playing long sets,
Yeah, of course, and you of course didn't get the job in Dream Theater, but we can only imagine that you would have been playing some pretty long sets had you been getting that gig.
Yeah, I would probably do that, yeah. But it would have been, so much fun, but that's the way it is.
Mm-hmm. Getting back to Static Impulse for a second, how much free reign did you have on that record? Were the drums given to you what they wanted to do, or did you really make it up?
I made up my personality to it, but the program drums on the pre-production made by Marcus Foggy, the guitar player, and Matt Guillory, the keyboard player, they have been programming the drums so well using, the drum kits from Hell samples and stuff like that, and it just sounded like for real, and it was like very, very much, I could get a very clear picture of what they wanted, and I just put my flavor to it, and some of my kind of trademark drum fills and stuff like that, and just added some more, my personality to it, and probably also, turned it, a little bit more metal-ish kind of way of drumming into it, and Matt is like a huge fan of Swedish, metal, like Soilwork and stuff like that, more melodic bands, and he really, had made a great job with the pre-production, so I had a clear picture, I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm. Now, working with James, of course, you ended up getting the call from him to audition for Dream Theater. When did you learn about who your competition was going to be, and what was it like learning about who those other 6 guys were?
I got a mail from James, I was on tour with Darkane, and I was in France playing, I got a mail from James asking if I was interested in auditioning for Dream Theater, and I mean, of course, and I called my wife, could hardly speak, and I was almost falling into tears, like, they asked me to audition, whatever, and then, I a few weeks later, I got all the information, what songs to play, and then I got the list, with the schedule, when the different drummers were supposed to audition, and I saw the other names, I was like so intimidated by that list, because those are my drum heroes, I still learn a lot from those guys, of course, and I got their drum books, I got their instructional DVDs, I got the live stuff with them, and I've got their records and all that, so just being on that list was itself, was like huge thing for me, of course, and a great honor just to be on the list, and I actually emailed all the guys too when we got that list, I just said, guys, I just want to tell you, because they probably don't know who I am, and just tell them, it's just such an honor to be on the list, no matter what happens,
Yeah. Well, not only have you been learning from them during your career, I understand that you actually had one of Mike Portnoy's drum DVDs to help you study for this audition.
Definitely, yeah. And, the Liquid Drum Theater, DVD, I got that one already, and so when I got to know that we were doing the Dance of Eternity song, I knew it was on that DVD, so I just, loaded that DVD, and there you can see very clearly, of course, what the drum fills are, and my approach was very much, to keep it true to what Mike did, because no matter, what I would do, I knew that my personality and my style will probably shine through, even though, trying to do what Mike did originally, and so my approach was very much, keep it to what it is, and keep it like the fans know their songs and how they want to hear them. That was my approach, and and on that DVD I could very much, catch what Mike was doing on the original version.
Yeah, well, if you watch the Spirit Carries On documentary, and I know you have now, it seemed that the downfall of guys like Lang and Donati was actually that they did interpret too much.
Yeah, exactly, and that was, that was very much their approach, and I totally understand it, because they're like drummers they're totally drummers, they're like the top elite in the world, of drummers, and of course they want to put their flavor to it, and and I know that Virgil said, this is how I sound, and this is what I'm going to present, and if it's not fitting, it's not fitting, this is me, and this is what I do, and so I totally respect that point of view, of course.
Yeah, it worked out for you. You did get down to the final 3 there. You unfortunately didn't get the job, but you really seemed to come through quite well in the documentary.
Yeah, very well, and we had such a good time, and I think the guys were kind of surprised, they had heard Static Impulse, I know that, but whatever, they probably hear a lot of music when they are on tour or whatever, with Dream Theater, and you know, so I knew they heard the record, but probably not more than that they knew about me. So except for James a little bit more, of course, but they were kind of surprised, I guess, you know, when we went through A Nightmare to Remember after that song. You know, they just kind of laughed, you know, and said, "Wow, that was really, like, you know, you could have went on stage and do that, you know, that was like so great, you know." And so I think they kind of was a bit surprised, and I was the last one, and they told me, like, it was also very stressful for the guys in Dream Theater, of course, you know, because they had never been playing those songs with another drummer, you know, and they've been playing with Mr. Portnoy for so many years, you know, and suddenly, you know, playing these songs with the different drummers, you know, and so I was the last one, and probably, you know, they already knew, all these guys already performed their best, you know, to them, but like you know, Petrucci says in the end, you know, like, what a way to conclude, and I think he was actually quite honest saying that, I guess.
That's good. Now, as far as the auditions are concerned, that they were filmed, how much did you know going in about? Did you know everything was going to be filmed and used for a documentary from the start?
I knew that everything was going to be filmed for the documentary, you know, and I thought it was what I knew was that it was going to be released as some kind of bonus DVD for the next Dream Theater album, like, you know, the auditions, how they went on and stuff. So I didn't know that it was going to be like a documentary, or you know, even the build-up to the announcement of Mangini. I didn't know it was, you know, meant to be as a documentary. But I'm totally fine with it. I mean, for me, it's been great exposure, you know, and I think it was a very cool idea, and I just love watching the other drummers play, you know, and as a drummer, you know, and fan of Dream Theater, I just love to see those, you know, videos, and so I was totally happy with how everything turned out with the video.
Yeah, I think it was Petrucci, it might have been someone else, did post that it will be, there will be a DVD available either with the album or in some form in the future, so it looks like that still will hold true.
Yeah, hopefully, you know, and there is so much more filmed, of course, because we all were sent, you know, video cameras, you know, like these, you know, like Mr. Mangini says, you know, he's got his Q3 with him, and that's the Zoom Q3 video recorder he's got with him, you know, and so we were sent those, you know, just to be able to film at home and when practicing and all that, and you know, the auditions went on for almost 3 hours for each guy, so I mean, there's a lot of film stuff, I can tell you that.
Yeah, it was a question I'm going to get onto later, but I'll ask you now. With the 3 hours, it's for each drum was pretty much edited down to about 5 minutes. And do you think everyone was represented, or yourself at least, pretty fairly in that 5 minutes? Do you think they did a good job of getting the gist of the audition?
I mean, I can only speak for myself, of course, you know, because I didn't see the other drummers' auditions and stuff for real, in real life, you know, but for me, it kind of, you know, it feels like, you know, that's the way it kind of was, you know, it's as you said, it's quite hard to edit 3 hours, you know, of small talk and playing and all that, you know, into just, you know, like 4 or 5 minutes, but it's pretty much, you know, that's the way my audition went down. I would say that, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm happy with how the footage turned out, you know. And there are some parts I would like, you know, they should have shown instead of the stuff they did, you know. But whatever, I'm very, very happy with how it turned out, and that's the vibe I'm getting from the video clip. It's the vibe I got when I was there, actually.
That's good. When you were told about the auditions, were you made privy to what would be expected to you if you got the job, what kind of touring would be done to that, or was that something that they were waiting to discuss with the person after they got the job?
I think they were going to discuss that after the job, you know, whoever got it, you know, because the only stuff I actually knew, you know, was the flight times, what hotel, and what time I was going to audition, and of course, you know, the 3 songs we got. I really didn't get much more information than that. Of course, there's like 50 emails or something prior to the auditions, you know. But as a whole, you know, we didn't know much more than that. At least I did, you know. But I'm quite analytic of me, you know. I like to be in control, so I checked everything, and I checked, you know, Mr. Portnoy's webpage where he's got all the, you know, the old tours and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I pretty much, you know, realized that they were going to record, you know, in the studio for quite a while, and then be on tour for like 18, 20 months or something, you know, like being away 4 or 5 weeks, you know, and then be at home for 3 or 4 weeks, and then, you know, doing that all the time when touring. So I was well aware of what was waiting, you know, if I was able to be in the band, you know, of course.
Okay. So you got sent these 3 MP3s, and you had vague travel instructions. How intimidating was it walking into the room and really not knowing too much of what was going on?
As I said, you know, in my clip just briefly on the documentary, I said, you know, like, I knew there were coming those tests, you know, and stuff like that, but anyways, I just knew we were going to do those 3 songs, you know, and that's pretty much it, you know, and I played on Wednesday. I did my audition on Wednesday. Also, last one at 6 p.m. You know, and is that correct? PM? Yeah, 6 p.m. That's in the evening.
I hope it was an AM, because I think
not 6 a.m.
From what we've seen in the guys in the past, they are not generally morning people like that. So.
Yeah. No, but anyways, I was the last one, you know, and the day before I met Virgil, the day before, you know, after his audition, and he just said, you know, there are some parts that are really hard, you know, and that really didn't make me less nervous, I can tell you that. And if Virgil thinks it's, you know, a bit tricky, you know, then it is very, very extremely tricky, of course, you know.
Yes.
But I felt very comfortable. I was welcomed so well when I entered the room by all the guys in the band and their management, you know, and all the guys that was there. I just felt, you know, very, very comfortable right away, you know, entering that room, actually.
Oh, that's very good. For those 3 songs that you got sent, of course, we had A Nightmare to Remember, The Spirit Carries On, The Dance of Eternity. How much time did you spend learning them, and which one would you say you had the most difficulty with?
I think we had quite a lot of time, you know. I would say we had something around, you know, 5 weeks or something, 5 or 6, 6 weeks, something like that, you know. So I started right away, you know, by learning the songs, and I attacked it, you know, with The Dance of Eternity first, because that was like probably the song that was, you know, the hardest to get into, and because the arrangement of that song is actually quite weird, you know. It's just like a lot of riffs. And like Mike Portnoy says in his drumming DVD also, they were kind of leftover riffs from different, you know, songs or different ideas they had, and they just made a song out of it, you know. Mm-hmm. So structure is, you know, the structure of the song and the arrangement is quite weird. So I started off with that one, you know, and of course I just listened to those 3 songs up until when I got the songs, and when up until the audition, I just listened to those songs and nothing else in my, you know, my iPod. It just had that going whenever I was able to hear it, you know, and so to memorize everything. So, but I did Dance of Eternity first, got that one, and then I did Nightmare, you know, and after that the Spirit carries on, you know, and I just felt, you know, it was the right way of attacking it, because I knew if I was going to learn, you know, the Dance of Eternity, the other songs would also be able to learn, you know. So.
Yeah, very good. Of the 3 phases of the audition, you of course had the part where you played through the songs, and then there was the riff test and one other section. Which did you find the most and least difficult?
By far, the riff test, you know, where they're testing the new ideas that Jordan had written, and because, you know, it was like weird meters, and for me, you know, like playing through the songs, I had practiced them so hard, you know, and so much, so I knew I would be able to play them, even though I was going to be nervous, you know, because they would be kind of stuck in my muscle memory anyways. But after that, you know, when Jordan said it, you know, that we're going to do the test, you know, and I'm just like, yeah, let's try it, you know, and when he started playing it, he just played it once through, you know. I really didn't catch what was going on, because he didn't count or anything. I just figured out it was like lots of different meters, and they also changed from 3/4 time, and there were like some at 5/8, and then there were also like actually 11/16. So there were the meters were like different. There were, you know, quarter notes, and there were 8 notes, and there were 16th note subdivisions. So but I got my head around it. You know, it was like not easy, of course, you know, but I got my head around it, you know, and we finally, you know, I was able to play through it actually, and they seemed to be very happy with it, and I was very, very happy with it. But of course, you know, I could have went on stage playing that stuff. That wouldn't have sounded too great, though.
Now, you think with all those crazy numbers, a math teacher would have been perfect for the band.
Yeah, exactly. But I know that Mike Mangini actually is also very good at math too. So I think they made the right choice right there.
Yeah. And I didn't mention it earlier, but I think it's funny that you took his spot in James LaBrie's band. Mike Mangini had been in his previous 3 albums, so now it's kind of coming full circle, as we say in the Dream Theater world.
Yeah, definitely. That's very much true. Yeah, that was also like a very cool thing, because I knew when I was Mangini wasn't able to do the last James LaBrie album, and I got asked, and I knew it was him played on the other 3 albums. So for me, that was already like big shoes to fill, after Mangini to play on that record. So, but it's full circle for sure.
So all those preparations for those 3 songs, did you manage to make it through all 3 without any big mistakes?
Actually, I did, and because as I said, I had practiced those songs so hard, they were just stuck in my muscle memory, and I think actually, Jordan is quite honest when he says, in the documentary, he says, after my audition, he just said, we could have went on stage and just played those songs, and that was actually very much the vibe I got out of it too, because it felt right at home. We started off with when I set up the kit, and after that, just warmed up, and then we started off jamming, and I think we were like jamming for almost 20 minutes or something like that together, and then after that, it felt really relaxed because there are, of course, their skills, they're like amazing musicians, and you just felt very comfortable playing with those guys. So after that, going into the songs, I felt pretty warmed up and all that. So. For the songs, everything just went. I can't remember at least, doing like mistakes or whatever. Actually.
Oh, very good.
So I was just happy with that, of course.
Yes, at least the part that you could study for, if you can ace that, at least you feel good going through the rest of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, Portnoy had been seen not only as a drummer but as a figurehead and director of the band. During the auditions, did you notice any particular guy stepping up and kind of taking lead in the band, or did it seem like a group effort now?
I don't really know about the chemistry prior, because I've never met them before and stuff like that. But I know that Mr. Portnoy was, of course, he was like very much keeping it all together, kind of almost like a manager, I would say. Mm. That's the feeling I got at least, but I would say, everybody was really, really into it. And Jordan, and Petrucci, and James LaBrie, they were really, like talking a lot about, and everybody was like filling in. And Mayong is not talking that much, but he's like a super cool guy, really, and it felt very much like a band, for me at least, they felt like really much like a band, I would say that. So no one actually like stepping up, or musically, I would say like Jordan and Petrucci probably were the guys, saying the most what they wanted, with the different riffs and stuff like that. So musically, I was talking a lot to them about it, and so afterwards I was talking to Mayong actually about the jam we had in the beginning, because we were having some cool bass and bass stuff going on, and I was trying to lock in, and I asked him, I was trying to figure out what you were doing in the beginning, and he said, I had nothing planned. I was just improvised. I really hadn't anything planned. And I was like, no wonder I had a hard time locking in with my kick drum with your bass then,
Yeah. Well, the documentary was quite positive in the response to each drummer and you. But of course it was brief. Were you getting immediate feedback on the other sections aside from your amazing playing of the songs? Like, what was the kind of things they were saying to you after the riff test and the jams?
For the riff test and the jams, for the jams, everybody was really happy with the jams, and then I remember how it all started. It just started, off like, we were setting the in-ear levels, and with the keyboards and guitars, and then Petrucci just started playing some cool stuff, and I just started, jamming along with that, and then everybody kind of fell in, and just started jamming, and we just suddenly we had this jam going on, And after that, everybody was like, wow, that was cool. Some great ideas, you know, and stuff. So everything just felt all natural with that, I have to say, yeah.
Yeah, good. Now, I understand that every drummer had a call-in time on November 5th to find out if they got the position or not. Is that correct?
Yep, that's true, yeah.
Now, how far in advance did you find out about that date, November 5th, and how hard of a time was that on you?
Dude, I can tell you that, because I was like, they were like, we're going to call you as soon as possible, you know, but of course we had a lot of material because they wanted to go through all the material on you know, that was filmed, and I knew how much was filmed, of course, you know, and going through all that would take a while, you know, but, you know, I think it was like almost 2 weeks, you know, it was like something like 10 or 12 days, you know, until I got, you know, an email. I just heard back from them because I was like, so what's happening?
Yeah.
Don't hear from them. So, you know, I was like almost like, well, they're probably not going to call me anyway or whatever, you know. But then I got this email, you know, that we're going to call you and we have this specific time for each drummer. I think we had like something like 40 minutes for each drummer, you know, set up. And, you know, so during that time, you know, I was like, so what's happening? Are they going to call or not? You know, because I was kind of left in the dark there for a while.
you know, it sounds like almost a first date gone wrong there.
Exactly. That was almost the vibe of it. Yeah. So I guess, you know, why didn't I take her number? You know,
yeah.
I just gave her mine. Shit.
So now November 5th comes, and you have your time to call in, of course. Now, were you calling around to any of the other drummers that day?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me, what would you say if I was calling around the other drummers?
Yes. Did you call any of the other guys to find out if they had gotten it or not?
No, I afterwards, you know, I've been emailing quite, you know, with all of them, you know, as a fan, of course, of all the drummers. I've been trying to keep contact with all of them, you know, and I know that quite, you know, some guys, they said, you know, they were doing clinics or whatever, you know, if you're like on their level, and, you know, probably people are going to ask you all the time, they will be bugging you on all your clinics and all the concerts you do if you were auditioning for Dream Theater, you know, of course. So I know some of them actually said, well, I did audition, but I didn't get, you know, I didn't get to play with the band, you know.
Okay.
But for me, I was actually, honestly, I kind of felt quite fast. I kind of felt, because the email I got back from Mangini after the, you know, I sent an email to all the other drummers, like 2 days after I got back home in Sweden. I just sent an email, you know, before we did the call or whatever, you know, getting to know what happened. I just sent to everybody that I was just happy. Like I said, yeah, I'm an honor to be on the list with those drummers, and it was such a huge, you know, honor to play with Dream Theater, you know, and so Mike wrote me back, you know, like that he was very happy with his audition and how it went, you know, and then I kind of felt, you know, well, he lives in Boston, you know, it's like 2 hours or something with the train from New York, and he's around the same age as the guys in the band. He grew up listening to Rush, you know, like the other guys in the band and all that, you know. So I would say everything pointed, you know, quite fast to him, at least how I felt, you know. And I also kind of feel that he's got that kind of drumming style that would fit Dream Theater very well, you know, like very, very natural direction from Mike Portnoy to Mangini, of course, you know, and I, on my hand, you know, I'm a few years younger than him, you know, and I am more grew up listening to Dream Theater and actually growing up with, you know, Yes or Rush or whatever, you know.
Yeah, well, when it comes right down to it, I think that a lot of guys had everything needed musically, but I see Mangini had more of the non-musical intangibles that helped him.
Exactly, and he's very, very charismatic, you know, and that was something I actually thought about when I was doing the audition, because normally when playing with Darkane, it's a bit more extreme, and, you know, we do a lot of headbanging, you know, and stuff like that, you know, and you know, trying to do the windmill while playing drums and stuff like that with the hair, you know. But so kind of it felt like a bit weird, you know, coming in there. But I now figured, you know, like afterwards, like Mangini did the total right thing, you know, and Marco too, you know. You can really see those guys, you know, playing their heart out, you know. And I guess I was like a little bit nervous, of course, and I also kind of felt, since the other guys, they were just, you know, kind of standing around and playing the songs, it would feel for me, it would personally feel a bit weird, just sitting there, and headbanging and doing all that shit where the other guys didn't move, But I think Mangini is the perfect fit for the band. It's just perfect.
Yeah, very. I'm glad that even though you didn't get it, you seem to be very happy with the fact that you got to audition and happy for Mangini, and that's very nice to see.
Definitely, I'm like you said, both things are. I'm just happy with how everything turned out. Actually,
Yeah, you got a free trip to New York City. How much can you complain?
No, exactly that, and I love New York City. So, and my wife actually followed me there too. So we had actually a whole week in New York. So we were very, very happy with it.
Was she able to be in there with you when you auditioned?
Because we were told in the beginning that she was not allowed to be in there in the room because it was too small. But then when we got to audition, because the first day they had like a smaller room. Just like a normal rehearsal room, more or less,
Mm-hmm.
And then they changed for the second day because they had so much gear, and Petrucci with all his gear, and Joey and those guys. So they were moved to a bigger, rehearsal room, and so we got there, she just came into the room, and we had actually been in very close contact with Frank and Marjorie, the management of Dream Theater,
Mm-hmm.
and so they just, they already felt like they almost knew us, before the audition because we were so close in contact with the emailing about hotels and flight times and stuff, and so she was just asked into the room, yeah, come in here, and that is huge catering going on and some sofas in there, so she was there during the whole time, and of course that was great fun because I would feel like, if she was left in the dark wandering around in New York for 3 or 4 hours not knowing what was happening with me. It felt great having her there, actually.
As for all of New York's splendors, it's not a place you want to wander alone in the dark for 3 or 4 hours.
No, exactly.
Now, I understand that you have a full diary of the audition process that will be published in a Swedish magazine.
Yeah.
But you're working on having it translated into English. Do we have any idea when that'll be available?
I think, the magazine will be released like in a couple of weeks, hopefully. And if not, I'm really going to ask the magazine, if it's possible to be able to release the English version prior to the magazine in a way. Because I think, now everybody has interest in the audition and how it went on and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe like in a month or two, people will, be more interested in how the new CD sounds and what's going on with the new album for Dream Theater. So the sooner I think I can publish it, it would be way better because that's really my personal thoughts about the whole situation from the day one till the audition and until I got the call and all that. So, it's probably more or less for the more, diehard Dream Theater fans, but it really shows, how the whole thing went on,
Mm-hmm.
and my thoughts about it. So hopefully it won't be that long until I can, publish it.
Well, we certainly look forward to seeing that. Now we had
Cool.
mentioned being in the dark here, which for us fans was quite a while. For who the drummer was, but now you, since November, have known that you weren't the guy. What have you been doing? Is Darkane doing anything? What are your projects looking like going forward?
Yeah, we were supposed actually to do the tour with James in December. Now that past December.
I had tickets for the Philly show.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and that was such a bummer. That was. I honestly don't think it was because of the Dream Theater thing happening that they were going to enter the studio in January. It was like probably some other circumstances surrounding it, and it was not. There was also been some rumors, that Marco and I wasn't able to get the working visas, and stuff. But that was actually what was happening. The working visas, it's not that we are like criminals and we can't get the working visa. It's not that, but it was just that the handling time just took forever for that visa, and in the end. It took so long, so it was not possible anymore, to be able to know if we were going to make it or not, So I would say, that was just, bad, things happening along the way, and the tour had to be canceled because, they didn't know if we were able to make it, and in a way, I kind of felt a bit sad about that because, I knew already that I was not going to be, the guy playing with Dream Theater,
Yeah.
And then when the tour got canceled, that was kind of a bummer, but since then I've been working, we've been working on the last few songs on the newer Darkane album. And we also are building our own new studio here in Helsingborg, where we live, with Darkane. So, and we put a lot of time into that. So I've been mostly doing carpenters and stuff, like after the audition, and being a carpenter, and then did a lot of construction work.
Yes,
in the studio.
Has to be done. I'm surely be worth it at the end.
Definitely, and I'm also in talk, Matt Guillory is going to release. He's right now writing on his solo record. The guy from LaBrie's band, too, So Matt is working on that, and Marco is also working on his solo project. And I'm going to be playing on Matt's record. I'm going to play the drums on that one. Hopefully, record later this year. And for Marco, I'll be recording a few tracks for his album together with some other drummers too. So it's going to be pretty busy schedule, hopefully.
That's very good. There's a lot of interest in you now, and so hopefully a lot of Dream Theater fans will start picking up on those projects. Like I said, I thought your drumming performance on Static Impulse was amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm happy with it. Yeah, thank you.
And I'm going to do you a service here, just so you can clarify with any Dream Theater fans that don't know and didn't like the more extreme vocals on the LaBrie record. You were asked to do those. Those weren't you coming in and changing anything.
Exactly. I just want to point that out. I totally understand. It's a very extreme kind of voice, and it's an extreme instrument, those screaming and the growling. But it was, of course, it wasn't like me going into the studio, just telling Matt and James like, yeah, you know what, I can do some screaming on your solo record or whatever, It's like, that was not what happened. They are very much influenced by bands from Sweden, for example, like Soilwork and In Flames, and stuff like that got these kind of, more aggressive kind of sounding stuff, And I know James and Matt are huge fans of that kind of music, so they wanted it. And they actually asked me if I knew someone else, if I knew someone doing, screams or whatever, And I said, yeah, I know a few guys, of course, And Matt and me just talked on the phone, and then I said, I actually did some screaming on Christopher from Darkane, his solo record, Non-Human Level. I did all the screaming vocal I did lead vocals on his record, And so Matt listened to it, and he sent a few tracks to James, and they were like, you know what, dude, you can do the vocals, of course, So that was what was going on, actually. So, and I'm sorry if anybody don't like Static Impulse because of the vocals, but whatever. There might be a censored version in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, well, I am personally not usually a fan of them. I think some of the call and response stuff and like Jekyll and Hyde and some of the screams behind James's vocals, I thought a lot of it was very well done. And even as someone who doesn't generally like it, I very much enjoyed that album.
Cool, thanks a lot. Yeah, I think it turned out cool, and after a few listens, to me at least, what I feel for that album is like I think the songwriting is so well done, and the songs are so great. So after a few listens, it's the choruses are very catchy and all that. So it kind of, but I'm like, of course, I'm used to those kind of vocals. I've been hearing it since whatever 88 or something. So I guess I can't say.
Yes, like I said, I just wanted to clear up. There's some people who blamed you for bringing that in, and that's completely not the case. And so I don't want them to have a negative idea of you because of that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, because it's really not me who said I wanted to do it. I was asked to do it, of course. So thanks.
No problem, and thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me. I wish you the best of luck in the projects you have going on with Darkane. And
Thank you.
I do hope, even if it takes 5-6 years, whenever the next James LaBrie record comes out, we will see you back on it.
Yeah, that would be great, of course. So thank you very much for the interview, Nick. Thanks a lot.
No problem. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Take care.